Eek, absent. Jim Garrettson,
Present.
Judy Hagan,
Present.
Jen Kristunas,
Here.
Katie Mueller's here, Josh Orahood, absent. John Shapiro, absent. Reedy Shukla,
Here.
and Mark Westmeyer.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Thank you. I will call the meeting to order at 6:08. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business will be public comments. We don't seem to have any public with us this evening, so we'll move on to staff reports.
Staff reports are included in your packets, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
I just wanted to thank the staff again for their excellent hospitality at the dedication of the Burr Oak Bridge. I've heard that from other people who attended also, who were just very impressed with the directions and the staff spread out and getting people where they needed to be, and just their welcoming.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'll make sure to pass that along. I thought the staff did a phenomenal job, and I thought that ribbon cutting went about as well as it could have, so very proud of them.
And the weather cooperated beautifully.
It did. Also, in your packets, there are some really great photos from that ribbon cutting. I don't know which agency captured these, but just want to, if you weren't able to attend, you do have some nice photos that you can take a look at. And if you haven't had a chance to visit the bridge, and you want to go out there and you want a staff member to go out there with you just to kind of walk you through the construction process and all the updates and stuff, we're happy to do that at any time. So just let us know.
It's very impressive. Thank you. I had a question about the speed signs on the Monon.
Sure.
Curtis, thank you for.
Yeah, so what's your question? Then I'll answer.
Well, how many speed signs? Somebody said to me they haven't seen any, and I know they're there. I've seen them, but I don't remember where.
Yeah, so we just placed 24 speed signs. 13 of them are brand new signs that we hadn't had previously, so we only had 11 before the update this fall. Our park resource officers provided us some feedback on the lack of speed signs along the Monon Greenway. So we worked with the P&R team just to identify key locations where they could be placed. I can't tell you all of the locations, but what I can tell you is they were strategically placed in locations where people were entering or getting onto the Greenway initially, just to help educate them on the speed limit of the Monon.
Okay. And then I had a question about when I saw about the sign installations at Bear Creek on the Parks and Natural Resources page. So are we open for people to walk through or not?
The Bear Creek Greenway is partially open through the Albany Village subdivision. So that's where the signage was placed. And most of that is mileage. Well, it's not mileage markers. It's park rules and just greenway identification signage.
Okay. So folks, if they want to go in and look at the park, there's a gate.
The park is open. It's not open every single day, but it is open on weekends, and visitors can go out there and walk through the trails and stuff. We are keeping those up as like we were
'Cause
previously.
somebody asked me, and I said, oh, yeah, I think you can go in, but I forgot when, if you wanted to look at the park. So it's weekends.
Correct. yeah.
Okay. Okay, are there any other questions on staff reports? Oh, and the invasive, that'll be on next month's report, Eric, right? The invasives projects with the Climate Action Committee. Okay, was that a good turnout?
I haven't got the report back yet on how many from the city that actually attended and what all they got cleared. But I'll find out next week. We have a meeting next Monday. So I'll find out then. And then, yeah, I can report back on that next month.
Okay, was that some of our invasive money, or that was
That was
something
all
else?
just city volunteer.
Volunteers, okay.
City employee volunteer project. So.
Okay. Any other questions for staff?
I guess I do have one. I'm looking at the marketing report and the top Instagram and Facebook posts about Founders Park reopening. Any feedback about the reopening from the community?
I think predominantly the feedback has been extremely positive. There are some, you're always going to have some naysayers, especially on social media, that don't always appreciate everything that you've done for the park. But I think the big thing is just to remind the community that this wasn't a complete overhaul of the park. It was really improving the safety. Surfacing was the biggest priority, and then also the walkway up to the playground needed some reinforcement as well. We also did made some improvements to the fencing just to help contain the kiddos a little bit more, replace some shade cells out there, and then repave the parking lot. So those were the big improvements. And obviously, I think the big thing is just community feedback really wanted us to keep the sand play feature, which was right through the middle of the park before. That created some major challenges with impact attenuation of the safety surfacing. So we found a happy median, and we moved it up to the kind of the northeast corner of the playground. And I think I think the parents that I've seen on site and have interacted with have been extremely pleased that we were able to keep the sand, but they completely understand kind of why we need to relocate it. So I think feedback has predominantly been, very positive.
Okay, great. I need to go check it out. I'm excited to see it.
It looks like a completely different space. I think
Yeah.
that we did a really nice job on it. So
And I think the fencing was a really good call
yeah, thank you.
from a
Appreciate
safety
that.
perspective.
Any other questions for staff at this point in the meeting? Okay, we will move on to Finance Committee. Mark?
We did not meet.
I will remind the board that we do have a nominating committee already established. That's Mark, Jen, and Jonathan. And we're going to figure out when exactly we're going to meet, depending on who's coming on the board and sort of when for new appointees, right? I think that's the way we've left it or we'll have a better idea in December.
We should have a better idea. The last conversation I had, the mayor fully intends to reappoint Reedy, who's expressed her interest in continuing. And I have a recommendation to the trustee that I need to give him. We talked a while ago, but it's been a while, so I need to revisit that.
You've been busy, Michael. Thank you. Okay, we'll move along to minutes. Katie?
I move to approve the minutes of the park board meeting on October 14th, 2025.
Second.
Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. Everyone approved, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. We're on to finance reports. Mark?
I move to now acknowledge receipt of the consolidated financial report for September 2025 and the CCPR P&L statements for October 2025.
Is there a second by Jen? Are there any questions? I guess we won't direct them to Mark. To any staff members? I won't. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to claims.
I have a recommendation to help Mark out. We are looking for approval of the claim sheet dated November 18th, 2025, and the CCPR payroll for October 3rd, 2025, October 17th, 2025, and October 30th, 2025. Do we have a motion?
I make the motion for that.
Is there a second?
Thank you,
Second.
Michael.
It's Katie seconded. Are there any questions for staff or Mark? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. All right. So we are on to monetary gifts, grants, partnerships, and sponsorships for October. Eric?
Thank you. We had 2/3 contributions last month. So $100 donation from our anonymous donor for staff appreciation. And then through the Park Foundation, we received 2 contributions to the Park Foundation. that then funneled to CCPR for staff appreciation as well. These two donations were coordinated through Carrie Berger, our resource coordinator. She was working on, these are to go towards our end-of-year staff appreciation event that we've been hosting the past couple years. So we worked with CTI Construction, provided $1,500, and then Invigorate HR provided $250. Invigorate HR is a company that we use to contract out a lot of our some higher level professional development training that we do for our staff. So they worked a give back. So the amount totaled $1,799.89. Sounds kind of weird, but it's because of the system that we use to process those donations through the foundation. They charge a fee for the transactions and whatever. So so that's the money that we actually then received, is that. So there you go.
Accept the gifts.
I move to accept the monies and, of course, thank everyone who made the donations to our staff.
Is there a second? I'm sorry. So Jen made the motion and Brittany seconded to accept the gifts. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we're on to new business. Michael, I'll let you start.
Sure. So the first item for the board's consideration tonight is adoption of Resolution G 2025-007, adopting the Burr Oak Bridge Management and Use Agreement. This is an instrument that is between the Park Board and the Clay Township. Basically, the bridge was funded through through Clay Township, including the donations that were made to the township to fund that project. As the funder of the project, the bridge is technically owned by Clay Township. And what was part of the intended agreement between the Park Board and the township, there first was an agreement that gave the authorization to build it. And then the second is this, which is the agreement that basically, while the township retains ownership of the bridge, Carmel Clay Parks and Recreation becomes the effective custodian of the bridge. Like I said, this was always partial with the plan, but we couldn't do this until the bridge was completed. Under the terms of the agreement, the township, like I said, retains ownership of the bridge. They also retain responsibility for all capital repairs to the bridge. So any major repairs to the bridge falls to the township for responsibility. The Park Board is responsible for the day-to-day operations of the bridge, routine maintenance, those type of things, same things that we do for the bridges over the Monon Greenway, or with the Monon Greenway over several of the roads. This term is through July 15th, 2040, which is when the bond that funded this, issued by Clay Township, is expired and fully paid off. So at that time, then there'll be a transfer of this to the Park Board. The agreement does identify insurance coverage, indemnification, all the things that make the attorneys happy. And it does state that any naming rights or sponsorships need to have the consent of both the Park Board and the Township Board, which we are fully in compliance with. So with that, I do recommend approval of Resolution G 2025-007 as included in your board packet, and happy to address any questions the board may have.
Madam President,
Yes, Jim?
move to approve Resolution G-2025-007.
Second.
Thank you, Jen. We have a motion and a second. I just have one question. Michael, could you clarify who owns the land under the?
So the land is actually owned by two entities, neither of which are us. One is the city of Carmel owns the west bank where the bridge is located. we have a management agreement with the city of Carmel to be able to develop that property. On the east bank, the property is owned by the city of Fishers. So it's a unique, truly intergovernmental partnership to make this bridge happen in addition to the funding. But the property is technically owned by the cities of Carmel and Fishers respectively on the different sides. We, however, the township owns the bridge on both sides of the river, and we're responsible for the bridge on both sides of the river.
So
From
we
the
insure it.
approach to the bridge on the Fisher side, and then the entire bridge, and of course, everything on our side.
Question.
Michael, we had to purchase land from Fishers. Was that done through us, or did we deed that to the city?
Based on everything I've seen, it appears to be deeded to the city, so that's kind of in the vicinity of the parking lot and not the new parking lot, but the original parking lot and.
Yeah, it was actually south of
Yeah.
there, so, okay, thank you.
And that was the piece where the river had moved, right? That historically when they,
Yes.
yeah, that was an interesting find at the point that, yeah, that was really weird, years and years and years ago. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next item is the donation for the Japanese garden. Michael?
So the second item for the Park Board's consideration is Resolution B 2025-010, authorizing the donation to Clay Township for the Japanese Garden Project. As a note, there was a typo in the original agenda and cover sheets referencing it as 008, but the correct number ends with 010. This is a $50,000, which would be the funding would be from our general fund, which is provided solely by the city of Carmel. As we have been looking at our budget and getting close to year's end, it is clear that we have some extra funds that otherwise would revert back to the city of Carmel. We were thinking we were going to have to do some major line transfers to take the money from our personnel lines to put it in special projects, but based on more recent assessments by Curtis, who closely monitors our budgets, we actually are going to have the funds in the services lines anyway, so it won't require subsequent city council approval to authorize that transfer. But we received a request from Mayor Finkham in a meeting that I had with the mayor, with Dave Ford, who serves as the township's owner's representative on this project, and some other city staff, looking at how we bridge the gap to complete phase one of this project, based on the availability of extra funds, which is really city money in the first place. I felt comfortable recommending a $50,000 donation that goes to the township, which allows them to complete the existing Japanese garden, the north pond, if you will, closest to City Hall. It will not go towards the southern portion of that. Based on discussions I've had with City Council, there will be $750,000 donated through the already issued $110 million lease rental bond that the city issued at the end of last year. $750,000 of that is going to be dedicated to help develop the southern portion of it. But the $50,000 allows us to get across the finish line so that by the end of this year, the existing Japanese garden will be able to open to the public. With that, I'd be happy to address any questions that the Park Board may have.
What's left to do in that?
So pretty much everything has been ordered or is set to be completed. They just need the money to pay the check or pay the bill.
What are they gonna have?
I'm not
What's been ordered and not installed?
So we are still waiting for the installation of the railing that is a new bridge that crosses the pond.
You can see that from the street, Jim, if you drive through there, because you can see the little high bridge. And so that's where that railing,
Correct.
go. Okay.
Yes. There is likely some planting that is involved in there. This is not our project. We're just simply been asked to help get the project across the finish line. So I am not privy to all the details of this, other than I know we're real close, and once it's complete, it becomes ours. So we've been providing assistance to the greatest amount that we can, helping secure quotes. But like I said, this is the ask to get it across the finish line. And since it is ultimately a park that will be benefiting our community, and the fact that we will assume responsibility and it doesn't adversely impact our ability to meet the obligations of the general fund, we feel that this is a reasonable ask and give to the township.
Questions for Michael? Go ahead, Jen.
I didn't have a question. I was just going
Oh, make the motion?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
to, I move to approve Resolution B-2025-010.
Is there a second?
Second.
Riddy, I'll take you as a second. Do we have a management agreement for this part or any part of this?
So once this project is completed, again, we will be, the property is owned by the city of Carmel. So this will fall under a master agreement that we basically have worked out. We're just making sure all the right components are included in there. We will also likely have to have a similar resolution similar to what we did for the bridge, because the assets that were constructed were funded through, in part, by a bond by the township. So those will be owned by the township. So there likely will be two agreements, one with the city, which will fall under a master agreement, which will also cover the Monon and all the other properties that are owned by the city, and the second one most likely with the township.
And we don't expect that till some future completion date, or this is?
So I would, substantial completion should be achieved in mid to late December, likely after our park board meeting. So I would anticipate that at the earliest coming in January.
Okay. And will that include any changes to the Monon there at this point?
No,
No,
it
okay.
will not.
Okay, thank you. Further questions? Jim?
No question. I just want to say, I've always thought that Japanese garden was wonderful. I've had lunch there over the years. It's just a beautiful, tranquil, I think the most beautiful, tranquil place in the township.
It is absolutely beautiful. And I think, and it's hard right now, you're looking at a aerial photo from September that doesn't necessarily highlight all the landscaping that's within the space. The designer for it, he truly is world renowned. When you walk it, you know, we now have more of the sod down, seeding is planted. There's more plants that are going to go into this garden that will even further enhance it. But the detail to the design, how every plant is placed, every rock is placed, as it matures, what was there before was beautiful. What's going to be there, especially in a year after everything is more mature, is going to be absolutely stunning. So,
Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. And I'm going to get to see the Portland Japanese Garden in December, so I'll go check it out. I'm already on Facebook with them, and they're putting out fall pictures, which are stunning, really.
I can't wait
beautiful.
to see
Yeah.
and get the report back.
Even in the winter, or the fall, it's gorgeous. Okay, moving on to the next item, the Catalyst Public Affairs Services.
So this one, we are requesting authorization to continue our existing agreement with Catalyst Public Affairs Group in amount not to exceed $96,400 paid from our general fund. We contracted last year with Catalyst to assist us in lobbying the General Assembly in the hopes of securing a new funding mechanism for capital projects. We have not been successful. As I stated when we considered this last year, it was certainly far from guaranteed that we were going to be successful. Sometimes it takes multiple years to achieve that success. And quite frankly, sometimes it never happens. But we do feel that we made inroads. We had conversations with legislative leadership. We've had dialogue with our local delegation as well as some others that are sympathetic to Parks and Recreation. And we've, I think, successfully started the conversation. I think it would be a wise investment for us to retain their services. We have the funding in the general fund. It does not adversely impact any of our priorities this year. But because of the dollar amount, it exceeds my authorization level, so I do need Park Board authorization. The contract will continue to roll over on a month-to-month basis until we elect to terminate it. If we find at any time during the course of the next year that it is no longer beneficial to keep their services, we have a 30-day provision to be able to get to exit from it. But we are requesting this. This also allows us to issue a purchase order which locks up the 2025 funds for it, so it doesn't hit our 26 budget. With that, I'd be happy to address any questions the Park Board may have.
Questions? Jim?
Who makes the determination to abrogate it?
So that would be a conversation between myself and the Park Board President. We meet on a monthly basis, so if I'm feeling like it is not going well, then I would have those communications with the Park Board President and wouldn't make that decision unilaterally.
You would make it.
No, I would, it would be a joint decision between me and the Park Board President.
And I do ask almost every month. I think I do ask
You do.
every month, probably
Yeah.
oftener, because I'm always want to know what's going on.
But if you disagree,
Ultimately, the Park Board still retains the authority as a group to make that decision, but certainly with Judy, and I would suspect with whomever becomes the next officer, we'll have a collaborative relationship and come to a consensus on any of those types of decisions.
Okay, I would entertain a motion.
I move that the Park Board approve the extension of the service agreement with Catalyst Public Affairs Group in the amount not to exceed $96,400 through December 2026 and authorize the staff to encumber the funds from the 2025 general fund budget.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Katie. Any further questions? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Now, old business, do we have any old business?
One more new business item,
Oh, I'm sorry.
which is consideration of quotes for the White River
Sorry.
Greenway streetscape,
Yes.
Coverdale House Service entry. This is a request for award of a contract in the amount of $90,150. This is a project that would be funded through the City of Carmel's infrastructure bond, so that $110 million lease rental bond. They included a line within that for White River Greenway streetscapes. CTI Construction, which serves as our owner's representative on this as well as many other projects, worked closely with our design team as to solicit quotes. We received 3 quotes ranging from $90,150 on the low end to $98,717 at the high end. What this project would do, and this was envisioned within the when the city issued the bond, so not our money going towards it, it's the city's bond money, was to do improvements along River Road and the Greenway. And this particular location, I do kind of have a photo to help orient you. At the very top is 146th Street on the photo on your left. To the you can see River Road sort of going diagonally from the northeast to the southwest. And then the square box area across the street from Harvest Church is the Conner Prairie's Coverdale House. At the present time, there are 2 entry drives into that location, which go across where the White River Greenway is located. What we are doing is, for really the safety of trail users, we're consolidating that to a single entry drive. So there's one point of crossing. It's not going to be a busy drive, but it is a service drive, and we like minimizing how often, trail users are potentially in conflict with vehicular users. So we're consolidating that and enhancing the landscaping in this particular location. All the funds are available. Like I said, $750,000 was included in the bond for projects like this, as well as landscaping. This is a project that was always originally envisioned for it. So I am making a recommendation that we accept the low quote, the most responsive and responsible quote from EDCO in the amount of $90,150. The purchase order would be issued then by the City of Carmel based on the Park Board's authorization. Park Board authorization is needed because this is a project that is assigned specifically to parks. Since it's outside of my authority, it then goes to Park Board for approval. With that, I'd be happy to address any questions the Park Board may have.
Okay, first of all, I would like to, for the record, show that Jonathan Blake joined us at 6:38. Okay, questions? Go ahead, Jen.
Have we used EDCO before? It's not a name that's ringing familiar.
So this is not a vendor that we have personally used, but we have experience working with them because they are doing a lot of the site work and preparations for Conner Prairie. So we're coordinating obviously very closely with Conner Prairie because we're working on top of each other. Conner Prairie has found them to be very responsive. Their owner's rep highly recommends them. So we feel confident that they're well-positioned to be able to do this work. I mean, truly, we're in close coordination with them all along.
Okay, thank you.
Michael, is this the first expense like this? I mean, I've lost track with the number of
It is,
projects.
other than we did engage Y engineers to prepare the plans as well as the landscape plans from 146th Street to the main Conner Prairie entrance. Those fell under my authority, so that didn't come to the Park Board. I mean, I think it was around 30,000 plus or minus. So there has not been a lot of those dollars used to this date.
But that was from the city bond issue, is my
It's all from
question.
the city bond
So this is the
issuance.
second
Yeah,
time we've
correct.
probably had something. Okay, go ahead, Jim.
I don't think I'm talking about the same project, but as you drive up River Road, near the school, we've got an area where we build a restroom and parking lot.
Correct.
That seems to be going awfully slow. I go on that road maybe twice a week and sometimes see nobody working.
So the White River Greenway North Extension Project, which includes the trailhead and overlook area, the challenge with this is that entire project is being coordinated closely with work that Conner Prairie is doing. So there have been times where we've had to put our project on ice because, like, for example, our contractor wants to mobilize once to do the original coat of asphalt and then do the subsequent final coat of asphalt. If there is a component of Conner Prairie's project that is in the way, then it would cost us more for them to mobilize multiple times because that's what they had contracted for. So, yes, the project is not moving as quickly as we like, but it's because our project's being done very closely with another project, with a partner effectively along the White River. So, yes, again, not happening as quickly as we'd like, but it's happening as expeditiously as possible, given the dynamics of the overall project in conjunction with Conner Prairie's project.
So,
You're blaming them?
I don't want to blame them, but the practicality is our project is going at a slower pace because their project is also going. And we're just trying to be as cooperative with them as they are being with us.
How does our contractor feel about that?
We've been upfront from the very beginning that this was going to be a complex project. So our contractor has sometimes taken advantage of the fact that they've been able to mobilize elsewhere, so then we have to wait for them to remobilize. So it has not appeared to hurt them.
Okay.
So Connor Prairie is also behind for whatever reason.
I don't think they're
They're-
necessarily behind. We got started first, then they were able to mobilize a little bit after us. So it's, again, the projects our project really isn't that complex. The most complex component of it is the overlook, but their project is more so. And, we're trying to do it so that I don't want to put in a trail and then they turn around and mess it up because of their project, unintentionally. But yes, they would be responsible for fixing it, but that only delays our project or potentially disrupts then trail users. So we're trying to minimize those types of disruptions as best as we can.
And the asphalt plants are closed or closing.
Asphalt plants are still open. We still believe that it is possible that the trail will be able to open before the end of the year, but we're uptight against that. So we do have one coat of asphalt down in most areas, other than in where this crosses. We'll see. But I am very optimistic that everything will be open in the spring.
Any other questions? Okay. Did we have a motion yet?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I move that the park board accept the quote from Edco in the amount of $90,150 for the service entry drive to the Coverdale House.
Is there a second? Ready? Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Now, old business.
No old business to bring in front of the board tonight.
And no attorney's business either? Or do we have?
We have no updates to report from our legal counsel.
Okay. And now for the director's report. Michael? But
Absolutely. So
first of all, though, I think we want to thank the team for receiving the wonderful Indiana IPRA award as the outstanding.
well, I actually have it at the end of my report, so thank you very much. So we can talk about that as
In
well.
addition, Michael is the incoming president of the organization. So that will be beneficial, and I think will also really maybe help propel some things at the legislature and have a platform there as well.
I'm hopeful. It certainly gives me the opportunity to talk to more of my colleagues around the state and hopefully get additional people to advocate for things that could be mutually beneficial for parks and recreation agencies from the northern portions to the southern tip.
And I was able to go to the luncheon where they received the award and stand in line with them because I was the short person, so I had to be in the middle. But I was very impressed with all the projects going on around the state of Indiana and the enthusiasm of this group, because I have been to several of these over the years. And it's always wonderful when we win something and we're enthused, but the general enthusiasm level was much higher this year. So I'm guessing that that's probably coming off the pandemic. Everybody's community realized the value of their parks.
Yeah, I think there is definitely a strong commitment, or has been a strong commitment in many communities throughout the state in investing in parks and recreation. I think some of it is they've learned from communities like Carmel that see the benefits of investing in quality of life. I also think IPRA as an organization, our current executive director, Lisa Nye, has been there for, I believe, 11 years now. And she's brought a level of professionalism to the association that, I mean, before it was a very volunteer-focused organization. It still is, but, you know, the executive directors historically had been retired parks directors or other executives that were incredibly well-meaning, but not association experts. And bringing in Lisa and a qualified staff, I think, has brought up the level of IPRA, the quality of the conference and educational content they provide, and I think that just percolates throughout and reflective and reflective of the participation that we have from member agencies throughout the state. So, yeah, it's a different organization than it was when I started in the profession about 30 years ago.
It's probably been 10 years since I've been to one, so yeah, I could really tell the difference. So,
Is part of it generational?
Some of it might be generational. Although, I mean, knowing some of the past directors, there were high-quality people that have been committed to the profession for many years, but I think that maybe, I don't know. I mean, I think there's waves. I think it goes through waves. You know, in the 1916s, for example, when the National Park Service was being established, when state parks were being established, when IPRA was formed as an organization, becoming one of the oldest associations dedicated to parks and recreation professionals in the country. I think that there was a real big investment in parks around that time frame and into the 20s and certainly during the Work Progress Administration. So I think there's been these times where there's been a renewed focus or understanding in parks and recreation, and then I think it goes through these cycles where you know, decisions like SEA 1 are made that hamper the ability to provide funding for parks and recreation. So I think it's hills and valleys, and I think more recently we've been, you know, towards the peak, and hopefully we keep at the peak as opposed to going into another valley.
I just wonder, you know, the population has grown and there are far more apartments than a lot of communities have had in the past, and they don't have yards.
I also think part of it is, you know, well, one, in communities like Carmel, where we have a lot of folks, whether they were born and raised here, have gone away and have come back, or people that have moved to Carmel because of work experiences or family, they've witnessed what Parks and Recreation can be in other states, and they expect those types of amenities and services in their newfound communities or longtime communities like Carmel. I also think that as places like Carmel and Noblesville and Fishers and Bloomington and South Bend and Fort Wayne raise the bar, you know, people travel to those communities. They see what's happening and they want it in their own communities. So that's one where I think raising tides can help put pressure to raise the boat in other communities too. So I think it's a variety of factors. And part of it might be too generational, where people just have different expectations than what they did 20, 50, 100 years ago. I don't think there's one sole reason as to why it's happening.
When I was a young person, a long time ago, growing up in Rushville, southeastern Indiana, Connorsville had a park built around a pool, big park, but a pool. So did Greenfield and Broad Ripple Park. And even people from Rushville went to those three places because of the pools. We don't have a pool. I see that change.
No, we have a different type of pool. We don't have the old traditional pools or I think Broad Ripple. I know Lafayette had the big round pools, which were kind of a precursor to today's leisure pools. So, I mean, evolutions in design over the years and preferences and you know, like I said, I think there's a lot of factors that impact it. It could be a dissertation.
Good time to be alive. Okay, Michael, we'll let you start.
So a
And
couple items, I had the pleasure of attending city council meeting last night. We did have 3 items that were specific to Carmel Clay Parks and Recreation that were being addressed by the council at our request. First, we received basically a reimbursement from the city for the tornado damage from April of this year. The council had committed up to $50,000 to reimburse any expenses that we might have. We had $50,470 in expenses for cleanup in Cherry Tree Park. So the council appropriated and provided us the $50,000 as they had previously committed. The council also authorized the transfer of over $1.4 million, almost $1.5 million from the city's grant fund to our impact fee fund 106. We've been using the impact fee fund to cash flow the White River Greenway North Extension project with the knowing that it's being reimbursed by the Central Indiana Central Indiana Regional Development Authority based on the proceeds received from the Indiana Economic Development Corporation for the Ready One grant that received the $4 million for the Greenway. So we have to spend it. It's a reimbursable grant. Then they reimburse us as those expenses come in. The dollars go to the city's grant fund based on rules they have from SBOA, and then we have to sweep that money back into the impact fee fund to reimburse it. So all part of our plans, but something that will be done one more time before the project is finished up. And then most importantly, the council unanimously approved the Fourth Amendment to the Interlocal Cooperation Agreement, which extends the agreement effectively to 2042. It also includes commitments from Clay Township to incorporate elements from our life cycle asset management plan into their capital improvement plan to ensure any dollars that they may have in their funds that are otherwise unencumbered, unappropriated, stay with the township or projects that they support as opposed to going into a road fund. That's going to be a source, as I've previously reported to you, that's not going to bring millions of dollars. It's going to bring thousands of dollars, and maybe not every year, but it is a way for the township to continue to provide dollars in many of those assets that have been funded thanks originally to funding from Clay Township. The most notable component is under Indiana law, park law, there's the ability to have a special benefits tax that supports a park district bond. And under the previous, until last night, the interlocal, basically that authority rested solely with the city of Carmel based on feedback and guidance from the State Board of Accounts and how the interlocal was written. What the Fourth Amendment did is it transferred the special taxing district authority from the city to the township, and that provided effectively the township a new mechanism by which they can provide capital funding for parks, a means to help address the loss of the local income tax dollars that we previously received that was instrumental in doing our capital repairs and replacements as well as many of our new projects. Without that transfer, the township would have limited means to provide any significant dollars to Carmel Clay Parks and Recreation, which in turn would put at risk the longstanding partnership between the city and township that has made CCPR what it is today. So the city has never used that special taxing authority. Actually, that authority has never been used in the nearly 35-year history of the park system. It wasn't taking any money that was currently coming into the city away. It was just transferring this authority that's never been used to the township, which is in better position to use it. That has also already previously been approved by the township board. So with last night's adoption by the city council, the interlocal agreement is effectively extended, and we continue to be able to do what we do incredibly well. So thankful for everyone over the years that has advocated for the importance of that that partnership between the city and township, which effectively gives us a degree of independence to be the innovative, entrepreneurial, high customer-focused organization that we are. And we're pleased to keep it going. And then one other item of particular note that wasn't necessarily put on the agenda at our request, but certainly has a huge bearing on assets that we own and or manage, is the City Council adopted their first ever micromobility ordinance, which provides a little bit more clarification as to what is and isn't permitted on greenways, on multi-use trails, on perimeter pathways along the streets, on sidewalks, and on the streets themselves. It is a very complex ordinance on a very complex topic, because what's happening is these devices are evolving very quickly, and it's hard for any law to keep up with what's going on. So City Council did the best job, I think, that it could, based on available information. There's always, opportunities for discussion and evolution on this. And Councilor Snyder, who this went through the Land Use Committee and has been reviewing it since July, was upfront in saying that, there's probably going to be needs for additional tweaks to this. And as we get into spring and summer, we're going to learn more. There's going to be feedback from Carmel Clay Parks and Recreation. There's going to be feedback from the Carmel Police Department. There's going to be feedback from our citizens and the trail users. And collectively, we will review that, and the council will consider what adaptations might be warranted. But as it stands today, the city posted through their social medias and through a news release a summary of it. Tomorrow, Carmel Clay Parks and Recreation will be posting this graph, this chart on ours to try to simplify it a little bit for the layman. And then we will have subsequent posts that kind of show images of what is a e-moto device, what is an e-scooter, so the public can better understand what is and isn't permissible where and what that actually is. The key provisions, basically all 3 classes of e-bikes will now be allowed on the greenways. Historically, only class 1 and 2 bikes would be allowed. It does not alter our 15-mile-per-hour speed limit that the Park Board adopted and the City Council ratified through codification of our rules earlier this year. Actually, the way this micromobility ordinance was written, the park rules and associated ordinance as previously approved by the Park Board and City Council trump, if there's variances, anything that's in the micromobility ordinance. So a large deference to this organization and its board for our management of the greenways and our trails. But what it also does now clarify is that e-bikes are allowed, of course, on streets. They are allowed in the city's bike lanes and perimeter paths, and they are allowed on city sidewalks with the exception of Class 3 bikes, e-bikes, which are not allowed on city sidewalks. It also now allows e-scooters to be used on the city's assets, but based on our rules, they are still not permitted on the greenway, including the Monon Greenway. E-moto devices are not allowed anywhere, with the exception if they are in compliance with state code and properly licensed and registered. They can be on city streets, but the practicality is most e-moto devices will not qualify for that registration, so they are effectively banned throughout the city. Not specifically mentioned in the micromobility ordinance, but we included it on our charts because a lot of our neighboring communities have a little bit more liberal allowed uses of golf carts. We're making sure that it's well understood that golf carts are not allowed on CCPR greenways, and they're also not allowed on any city assets as well. Again, that's not a micromobility device. It's not factored within the thing, but as part of our education, we elected to include it in this chart to help educate our residents as well as those that are visiting our community. And one thing that I think is a really great addition to the micromobility ordinance is it requires all youth under the age of 16 to wear a properly fitted and fastened helmet when using any micromobility device, e-bikes, e-scooters. I think that's hugely important, one, for safety. Two, it also provides another mechanism that if a police officer sees a youth member not wearing it, it gives them an easy ability to stop them, first to educate them, because it's not their goal to issue tickets, but if they're repeat offenders, of course, they will. But it also then gives them the ability that if they're on a micromobility device, they can better assess, is it an allowed device or something that would fall under e-moto or for the Greenway e-scooter. So I think that's an excellent provision. I'm going to stop there and see if there are any questions or discussion on that.
Questions for Michael?
So the question was, e-bike class 3s are not allowed on sidewalks, but e-scooters are. The difference is e-scooters, as defined within the legalese of the ordinance, can only go up to 20 miles per hour with the assist, whereas e-bike class 3s can go up to 28 miles per hour. Additionally, class 3 e-bikes are defined in state statute, whereas e-scooters, they are, but not the same way. So I think that's why the difference with those classifications as the council was considering that.
So the goal is to be under 20 on most of the walk.
Exactly.
Okay.
And what's not on our chart, because we only identified the speed limits as it pertains to our asset, the greenways, and quite frankly, that's what most of what prompted the discussion was usage on the Monon. But for all sidewalks, the city newly, because there never had been a speed limit before, set the sidewalks at 15 miles per hour for all devices that are allowed on them. It does for the perimeter pathways, so the paved wider pathways that are along the streets. It sets those at 20 miles per hour. There was discussion with the city council when they were reviewing this in committee. They asked us, hey, would you consider increasing the Monon to 20 miles per hour? I said that the park board, when we adopted the rules earlier this year, had extensive conversations and landed on 15 miles per hour, which was my recommendation, and it remains my recommendation that it should remain 15 miles per hour in our greenways. The Monon and all of our greenways were developed first and foremost as recreation trails. They're multi-use trails, but they're recreation trails. They also do serve as alternative transportation routes, but I would say recreation use was the first priority, alternative transportation the second. And that warrants, because of that priority use, a slower pace on the trails. And that's exacerbated and made more important by the level of congestion that we have on the Monon. So actually, I, for the first time, rode an e-bike on the Monon yesterday. Never going above 15 miles per hour, at least based on the speed limit or the speedometer on the bicycle. Going 15 miles per hour when you've got a lot of people on it is more than fast enough. So I'll just leave it there.
Jim, go ahead.
Jeff brought up an interesting point. He said there's points along the Monon Trail that should be widened because of the congestion, the growing congestion.
The practicality is there's no way to widen the Monon Greenway. Most of the Monon is on an old railroad bed with significant slopes on either side that serve as part of the the drainage for the city, there is no financially practical way to be able to do that. Where it has been where it is a little bit wider, more so because they've provided more options, is within the Midtown area, where you've got a designated bike section for the Monon. You've got a designated pedestrian section, but in practicality, pedestrians use all of it. And then on the far sides of the road outside the Monon Center area, not Monon Center, but the Boulevard, Center Boulevard section of the Monon, there are also bike tracks. So there are multiple ways in that more congested area where it is the ability to spread out a little bit more. But when you get north or south of those areas, when you get south of City Center Drive and get north of Main Street, it's just not practical to make it wider.
Do you know where he was talking about? Because it seems like what you're defining is where the real congestion is.
Honestly, I do not. I mean, ultimately, especially for those that are going faster or want to go faster, the Monon's probably not the best place to go. They should be using the roads, the perimeter pathways, the bike lanes. But that's also why it's important for us as a community to provide more greenway trails so that we can spread the love and have more options for people to go other places.
While you're speaking of bike lanes, I'm on Range Line a lot. I have never seen a bicycle in that bike lane.
I don't pay much attention because it doesn't fall under my jurisdiction.
So I'll just say this. Recently, there has been an uptick in the number of bicyclists that have been killed, and I feel like that may be a little hesitation for people to even use the bike lane, because I feel like the cars are not even friendlier to the bikes. And it's not in Carmel, but it is in the northwest side of India and stuff. So I personally feel like I hesitate to be in that bike lane because I'm not sure the cars are actually watching out for me. So.
Are there any other comments or questions?
So
I have one more.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Are these e-bikes and scooters registered under someone? Because especially it becomes an issue when these kids are driving it.
Unfortunately, no. Okay. And for that to happen, it really would need to happen at the state level, because otherwise I just think it would be beyond the capacity of pretty much any municipality to be able to regulate and license, especially since when I was talking to our park resource officers, and they have been spending quite a bit of time on the Monon specifically, but also throughout the park system. But as it pertains to the Monon, they said about 8 out of every 10 people that they stop and have conversations with because of violations of then existing rules, 8 out of 10 were from outside of Carmel. So even if we required Carmel residents to do it, knowing that many of our issues, not all, but many of our issues are coming from visitors to the community because of the shared connectivity, I think it becomes administratively infeasible without something at the state level.
But Michael, if they have to ride a class 3 now, they have to be at least 15 under this.
That is correct, under state statute.
Okay, under state, yeah. So at least that got in, which.
And that's also incorporated into the ordinance.
Yeah. Other questions, comments? Thank you for those who attended last night. Katie was there for most. Jim was there for all of it. I went. Linus came because the folks that cared about it. I did testify in opposition to the class 3s because of the additional speed. And I did find it a bit ironic that they're not allowed some places, which was sort of my point. They're faster. But all in all, on balance, 90% of this ordinance is progress. I mean, they have really gone the extra mile to try to define what the e-moto is and set some parameters on this, so we'll see how well it holds up. And then I would mention the Current has a story today. Well, I just got a flash this afternoon. Jake published my interview too, which is
Correct.
some more of the story because he actually did some research. So he's talked to some national groups and whatever. So it gives you an idea. This is going on all over the country and is now in crisis mode. So,
And Jake, who Judy's referring to, is the reporter for the Indianapolis Star. So that article dropped today online, and it'll probably be in the print within a
it
day
should
or
be
two.
in print tomorrow. So anyway, that was my only concern with it because there were a lot of parts of the city ordinances that had to be amended to do this. I mean, it really did cross your eyes to try and get through it. But Sergey did a yeoman's job, and it's a great starting point. But we've got to get it under control. So, and the chart the staff made is really a very positive first step to let's get our handle on it. Go ahead.
So I think the city, I think the state, I think the country is always going to be playing catch up because the e-bike industry is always coming out with the next thing, and it's just the way technology is going to be. I do think that class 3 bikes or the next level bikes are starting to come with a thing that you can put a stopper so you can't go over a certain speed limit. But I do think with technology now, it's, they're exploding into a whole new industry, and we're just going to be playing catch up. It's just the way it is. But I think we're doing. I think we're doing. This is the first step, right? I think, and everybody across the United States is doing the first step. But I do think that, and I applaud everybody for doing this. I think it's fantastic. But I think we're competing with an industry that is changing daily and exploding, right? With everybody who's wanting to be out and about and on trails, that I think we're never going to be ahead of it, right? Like it's not. It's like when the phones came out and iPhones came out, right? You're just going to be behind.
It's a quickly evolving technology that is also driven by demand, which makes it a challenge. I think two of the biggest provisions, both in our park rules as well as the micromobility ordinance. One, establishment of speed limits, because speed is, regardless of the device, is an issue. And if it's too fast, it has the potential to create a more unsafe situation, especially in crowded situations. The second one, which we took the initial lead on and they copied in the micromobility ordinance, is reckless use of such devices. Because again, it doesn't matter how you're using one of our greenways. You could be on a traditional bicycle. You could be walking your dog. You could be, rollerblading or skating or whatever it might be, or one of these other devices. If you're reckless on it, that could foreseeably cause harm to yourself, to other trail users, to pets, to other property, that's an issue. And both our park rules ordinance as well as this ordinance include that as a mechanism, a means by which a citation can be issued. And that one is in many ways easier for a police officer to be able to witness than the speed component in and of itself. But if they're going really fast, then you got them for 2. The biggest thing is the trails will be as safe as the trail users make it. And enforcement, none of the rules matter if they're unenforceable. But the challenge is, just as on our streets, there's never going to be enough cops to catch every speeder, thank God. 2, but for us, the same thing on the trails. There's never going to be enough law enforcement to be able to catch everyone. So we also have to hold ourselves accountable to make sure that we're not being jerks on the Monon. We're not being jerks on our trail networks. And we're being courteous to our fellow trail users. And if we as a society don't do that, all the laws in the world won't make much of a hills of beans of difference.
I think there were two things. One I got last night, but one I'd known before. Again, Jeff was making a point about the congestion. We've got to watch the congestion because congestion causes accidents eventually. And that's related to the speed. Speed and congestion, I got, were the two main things people were concerned about last night. But the third one, and I brought this up before, is Main Street, and I don't know about other intersections. But whether we have to redesign signage or something, someone's going to get hurt crossing those streets.
Any other comments or questions for Michael? And thank you for keeping us informed with the press releases and all
Absolutely.
of that. So are you going to,
Just a couple items. I'll go through these really quick because I shared them at City Council. So for those of you that were there, sorry you get to see it again, but I'll hopefully go a little bit quicker. As we discussed earlier, Founders Park has reopened. Again, this is a refresh, not a renovation. So many of the same elements. Biggest thing, as you can see here, is the improved safety surfacing. You can see where the sand is now located in the northeast portion, which is the lower left corner there. One thing I will note is the sand in there is antimicrobial sand. Before, it was just good old-fashioned sand. So this one is a little bit more friendly to protect against microbes. It feels a little bit different because of that, but it is also, it was selected specifically because it provides a safer environment for our guests that are using that feature. Another thing, as we've discussed before, but I wanted to make sure the public knew there were more improvements coming to Founders Park. These are this is a new addition, the floating boardwalk, which will go through the existing pond, effectively expanding our trail network on the south portion of the park. I think it's going to introduce a lot more people to the pond, which isn't the easiest thing to get to now, as well as have many more people discover the trails that are down there. This will be installed this spring. As was included in the written staff report, we did dedicate Jerry's Native Walk in memory of Jerry Kozlansky, our late and deceased park operations manager over our natural resources area. We had a number of family members as well as an incredible showing of the CCPR team to celebrate the dedication of that walk, including just a really wonderful tour by some of our naturalists to help us understand the incredible trees that are out there. Learn something every time I'm out there.
can I note that that was one of the original tree planting projects by Citizens for Green Space and the original park board way back.
Yeah, that was one of the
those
things that
trees have
made it
grown.
so special, because we were looking at creating a new one in West Park, and Jerry was a big advocate for using the existing resources, because instead of having these new trees that we plant, we have trees that have been in place for approaching 30 years. So it allows people to see a more, not old tree, but a more mature tree that if they ultimately plant in their yards, which is part of the goal, they get a better idea of what they're planting. We've got some projects that are in the works. Of course, Bear Creek Park, currently the request for proposals and qualifications is out on the street. Submissions are due on November 21st, so at the end of this week. Then the review committee that was established by the Park Board will begin going through those. It is our goal to be making a recommendation to the Park Board at the January meeting. We will actually have to hold a public hearing, so it will kind of like City Council does with their, before adoption of the budget, we'll actually have to formally open it to allow the public to comment. If we have no comments, that's fine, but just a formal process. Our legal counsel will guide us through it to make sure we do everything properly, since that's something we traditionally do not do. But super excited about that. Additionally, while That is on the street, as we've done for pretty much all of our playgrounds. It is our intent to direct purchase the actual playground equipment, as well as installation of the safety surfacing that allows us to basically avoid the markup from the contractor that's selected to build the park, which means that we're still in the process of finalizing the specific design for the playground. As we've done for a number of our projects, yesterday and today, we went out to West Clay Elementary School and College Wood Elementary School on the west side, which serves many of the kiddos that will be able to enjoy with their families Bear Creek Park, to get their feedback on types of equipment and designs they like and don't like. Our chief operating officer was able to get the kids to start chanting his name. So, he was very excited about that. But always fun to hear and have that engagement with our youngest park users. I'm also pleased to report that we received notification this month that the summer camp series, which is operated by our Extended School Enrichment Division, has received reaccreditation for the program through the American Camp Association. They were evaluated on 176 standards to ensure that we are following best practices to keep our kiddos in our care, to provide them the best experience and safest experience possible. We will be celebrating this with a banner unveiling within probably early next year with the holidays. Yes, I did select this photo on purpose. If you've read some of the news about the Indianapolis Zoo, I was just going through our archives. I saw this one with our kiddos visiting the zoo with the chimps on above. I will gladly report that no chimps escaped while our camps were there. They were probably afraid of our kids. And then, as was mentioned earlier, we were honored to receive from the Indiana Park and Recreation Association the Outstanding Agency Award, which is the highest agency award extended by IPRA each year. What's also special about the IPRA Awards program, historically, and I'm not saying recent history, but certainly 10 plus years ago, and even maybe a little bit sooner, the awards were evaluated by members of IPRA, which can sometimes have inherent biases for or against agencies that might apply for awards. Lisa and I, one of the things that she implemented a few years ago is outreach with the Tennessee Recreation and Park Association. So all of the award applications for IPRA are sent to Tennessee, and professionals in Tennessee are evaluating our awards. So it's not anyone from Indiana that's selecting the winners. And likewise, we reciprocate that for Tennessee's award applications. So I think it really gives a unbiased assessment and evaluation of our awards. So it's not people that like or dislike Carmel Clay Parks and Recreation. It's people that are truly evaluating the merits of those award applications. So that concludes my report. Happy to address any additional questions the board may have.
Do you have one more slide you want to show
Which one's that?
for your birthday?
Oh, I skipped it while we were having discussions on other things. I did share with the city council last night that that I was celebrating my birthday with them, and I instructed them that my mother and my spouse told me that they were supposed to treat me nice. So use that to say that maybe they could, since the interlocal was an ordinance. The rules require a reading, and then it's customary for them to come back at a separate meeting to adopt, but the council can always waive the rules and adopt on first reading. That was kind of my birthday request, so they gave us a nice birthday present.
And it worked.
It worked.
Are there any other questions for the director? Okay, we'll move. Oh. Information items. Plan Commission. Jonathan, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'll apologize for being a little bit late. We actually had a Plan Commission meeting this evening, so now I've spent time with both Westermeyers. But This evening, the Plan Commission sent a favorable recommendation to the council for the Home Place Small Area Plan. So that will get forwarded onto them and probably ultimately end up in Land Use Special Studies. The one item that has been tabled until December is a potential housing development on Illinois between the Forte Hospital and the Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Building. So that'll continue to be considered by the commission. And then the other decision that was made tonight was it was decided unanimously that we will keep our Plan Commission meetings at 6 p.m. Through 2026. The commission had been asked to consider moving that time up to an earlier time frame or during the day. A lot of discussion was held over that, but ultimately we decided to keep it where it's at right now, and then kind of look at that in the future for 2027. So. That was the decision of the commission.
Thank you, Jonathan. Let's see. John is not here, so we don't have a school board report. Climate action, anything other?
We have a meeting next week, so next Tuesday night. We'll have our November meeting. 2 weeks ago, I gave my quarterly report to City Council at their meeting. So that's about it. That was a lively debate, it seemed like. There was some questions back and forth from City Council on that, but nothing of super importance. So.
Thank you. Parks Foundation, I'll give just a quick report. The Park Foundation is going to meet for its annual meeting December 17th at 6:30 at the Park Administration offices. And then I guess if you are going to have a grant request or something, it would be helpful to know that beforehand. Okay.
Yes, so Carrie has that
Okay.
for you guys. Yes.
Good. Okay, then any further Park Board comments or discussion? Then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned. Thank you.